Star Wars Jedi Survivor has just been announced, which is the sequel to the very well received Jedi Fallen Order game released back in 2019, and we've got a lot of brand new interesting info to discuss here, so I'm going to break down everything that we know so far in a top 10 format, so hopefully after this video you'll know exactly what's going on with this game and what to expect. Let's first start with the release date though, which has been left purposefully ambiguous by Respawn the developer, as they stated at the end of their recent reveal trailer that the game will be coming in 2023, but we can zone in on that a little bit more because in EA's recent financial year presentation they stated that they are currently planning on releasing a major IP in Q4 of the current financial and fiscal year, which actually occurs in the months of January to March in 2023. So this game could fit real nicely into that slot, as currently there isn't anything in the EA development cycle that I'm aware of which could fulfill that Q4 slot as they forecasted. Additionally, the game is going to be specifically developed for next-gen consoles and PC only, meaning it's not going to be available on the PS4 or Xbox One, and it will continue to remain as a third-person, narrative-driven action-adventure title. So at this stage, no massive open-world mechanics that we currently know of are going to be appearing in this sequel. But that said, what's actually going on in the story in this new Jedi Survivor game? Well, it takes place 5 years after the first game, Jedi Fallen Order, which in turn is set 5 years after the Revenge of the Sith, where Cal Kestis is still on the run from the Empire's constant pursuit to exterminate the surviving Jedi off the back of Order 66, and we join him on this journey as he continues to come to terms with the weight of being one of the last remaining Jedi in the galaxy. Now, Stig Asmussen, who was the director behind the Fallen Order game and does reprise his role here in this new sequel, spoke about the new storyline in a recent official Star Wars interview. He said, "It's all about surviving the dark times post the fall of the Jedi Order, with Cal doing everything in his power to stay alive." He also went on to say that Cal's lightsaber has fallen into the wrong hands and he'll need to get back into Jedi training to expand his powers and reclaim his lightsaber. And I think we can see subtle hints to that in the trailer itself, with his lightsaber appearing frequently and independently from Cal. Furthermore, Cameron Monaghan, who plays Cal Kestis, went on to say on Twitter that he's excited to present what the team has been working on in the last few years, with the Jedi Survivor being a complex, mature and exciting progression for an audacious and ambitious game. So with all that in mind, what I would say is expect the storyline to be a darker, more mature and grittier version of its predecessor as we continue to dodge and dance out of the Inquisitors and Empire's grasp. Now, as we're on the storyline topic, Disney have confirmed that while Cal is eluding the Inquisitors, Obi-Wan Kenobi is currently on Tatooine watching over Luke, which does get me excited because could we see Cameron Monaghan potentially making an appearance in the Disney series, or vice versa, could we see Obi-Wan making an appearance in Jedi Survivor? Now that is a big leap, but when Ewan McGregor was on Jimmy Kimmel, he interestingly said that all of the storylines have to match up. You can't just have some facts in a video game that then doesn't match up with the movie, which is really encouraging actually that he would even mention it first and foremost. But secondly, both Cal and Obi-Wan are in the same predicament, being hunted by the main villains of each other's series, those being the Inquisitors, so some potential overlap looks quite spicy here. Speaking of which, if you did play the first game, you may remember coming up against the Purge Troopers, who are a specialised class of Imperial soldier who assist the Inquisitors in hunting down Jedi and other Force-sensitive beings. Well, there is some Obi-Wan Kenobi merch that has been released recently, so do expect to see these troops in the Obi-Wan series and here again in the Jedi Survivor sequel. Now, when it comes to companions and characters, what's going on with them in this game? Well, some of you will be pleased to hear that BD1 will be making a reappearance, and according to the game director Stig, they wanted to place an increased emphasis on Cal's relationship with BD1 in Survivor and continue to demonstrate a special and dynamic duo throughout the story. Stig said that we don't just think about Cal when we're developing this game, we think about Cal and BD1 and what they're doing at all times. It's part of our lore when we're working on the game. In fact, he's so important that BD is now getting his own huge Lego set, which does look glorious, and I'm sure it will do some serious digits. But BD1 aside though, Respawn has clearly stated that Cal Kestis will continue to be the central focus of the game, of course, but there are rumours from Game Rant who have speculated that there will be a potential new playable character in the game, which is suspected to be Fallen Order's Merrin, who you may remember was manipulated by the fallen Jedi Master Taron Malicos into believing that the Jedi were responsible for the death of her people. Now, after she discovered the truth, she joined Cal's crew, and Game Rant state via their industry insiders that Cal may be training her as a Jedi. This is a really interesting rumour because she also has access to the dark side by tapping into her shadow magic that she learned as a Dathomirian Night Sister, and this could put her on a unique path of one being a survivor of her people, but two, becoming a grey Jedi, which is one that walks the line between the light and the dark side of the Force. A lot of speculation here, of course, and I'm keen to hear your thoughts on this one below in the comments. What do you make of all of this? Now, speaking of the dark side, who are we up against in this sequel? Well, if you have watched the trailer, you may have noticed the Poan, who comes from the same race as the Grand Inquisitor, which is Darth Vader's head Jedi hunter and one of the main villains who appears over several Star Wars series. Thing is though, this isn't him, but rather an Imperial Senator, as officially stated by Star Wars on their website, and as Stig, the game director, states, he's making a dangerous deal on Coruscant, so do expect him to be pulling a few strings behind the scenes here. And a big question from the reveal, who is in the Bacta tank? Well, Star Wars have also confirmed that when Cal encounters this individual in the tank, he's uncovering a mystery. So this person, whoever he is of great importance to the Survivor storyline. And if you don't know what the Bacta tank is, by the way, it's used to accelerate healing and treat major injuries through a substance called Bacta. Boba Fett uses it in the Book of Boba Fett series recently, as did Luke in The Empire Strikes Back. And as you'd expect, there is quite a lot of theories floating around at the moment regarding the identity of this person, including one theory where it may be Taron Malicus or his clone, the Jedi Master turned to the dark side whom we just discussed. But I don't think it's him, because if we do take a closer look at this mystery person in the Bacta tank, he has lost an arm, and earlier on in the trailer, Cal was dueling a one-handed lightsaber wielding individual. So could this be the same person? It's really hard to say, but whoever he is, he will be playing an instrumental role in the game. And by the way, if you have found this video informative so far, please do leave a like on the video. It genuinely really helps me out, so thank you very much. Now, apart from the main story antagonists, do we have any new enemies that we can fight against in this game? Well, there is 3 here that have inadvertently been confirmed through official Star Wars Survivor toys that have been recently snapped up from the Star Wars Celebration weekend event. We've got the Riot Scout Trooper, which we saw in Fallen Order, and it looks like to have received an upgrade since then, now being able to wield a riot shield alongside a new stun baton. We also have the KX security droids, which now also have a stun baton in their offensive arsenal, but the one I'm really interested in seeing in game is the IG-100 Magna droid, which is a completely new enemy type. During the Clone Wars, they served as bodyguards to General Grievous and are equipped with electro staffs that could be used against lightsabers. They're considered to be worthy competitors to even the most skilled Jedi, so a great challenge for us in game if they do appear. But I do want to bring your attention back to the trailer again though, because Cal can be seen deflecting bolts from a shielded automatic turret on the ceiling. These weren't featured in the first game and will no doubt provide us with additional challenges. I can definitely see us being overpowered if we don't deal with them appropriately and quickly, so I'm very much looking forward to that. And another thing that I'm looking forward to and keen to get stuck into, and that's discovering new planets and systems that we'll be able to visit in Survivor. If you did play the first installment, you may remember that the Fallen Order featured 7 planets for us to explore, 3 of which were already established within the Star Wars universe and 4 being brand new ones. Now, there isn't any official statement on planets as of yet, but that doesn't mean that they haven't already hinted or shown us some. One of the more familiar planets that should be making an appearance though in this game will be Coruscant, also known as the Imperial Center during the rule of the Galactic Empire, and even if we don't travel here, I think at the very least it will certainly appear in storyline based cutscenes, since the Senator we discussed earlier works and operates from there as seen in the trailer. And speaking of the trailer, we can see Cal's ship, the Stinger Mantis, crashed on a desert planet, and we've seen our fair share of sandy planets in the Star Wars universe, of course, that being Tatooine, Geonosis, Jakku, Jeddah, Savareen and Pisana. However, I'm leaning towards this planet either being Tatooine, as it's arguably the most important one due to Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke's current presence there in this time period, but it also could be Jeddah, a desert moon home to people who believe deeply in the Force, as well as being a base of operations for Saw Gerrera, an extremist rebel leader during the events of Star Wars Rogue, and one who Cal has already met, so there is reasons for him to visit there again. It is also possible that this planet is completely new, as Disney does like to add new planets with almost every new bit of Star Wars content as the years go by, so do expect something fresh and of course old school for this game, I would say, but certainly sand. We're definitely going to see sand, as it does get everywhere. Now, when it comes to combat, EA have stated that the combat system will continue to be further developed in new and innovative ways, with the current technology available advancing the cinematic staging of the game, which essentially means that this game is going to look a lot better. Incidentally, Stig, the director, did go on to say in his official Star Wars interview that dynamic combat will expand on the first series, and Cal must learn new skills and grow his connection to the Force to survive. And I think a good hint to what this may entail is the blaster on Cal's hip, which we can see here from the trailer, as Cal at this time has presumably lost his lightsaber, which may indicate that some sort of range combat may be making an appearance here in the Survivor game, which does lead itself nicely to what Respawn have just said about new combat and skills. Now, this got me thinking that if they do plan to integrate blaster combat, will we be able to dual wield a blaster and a lightsaber at the same time, just like Master Kanan Jarrus did against the Grand Inquisitor? There isn't any official confirmations on that right now, but I do think it would be a great way to bridge the gap from range to close quarter combat quite nicely and get us thinking on how to approach new and interesting challenges. Now, we did briefly just mention graphical improvements and upgrades coming to this game, which will certainly be taking advantage of the new generation console capabilities, with a big emphasis on ray tracing and lighting. Again, Stig went on to say that this allows the team to do real-time lighting changes at a fidelity that's beyond anything we've ever produced before, so they can actually make changes instantly within the development process, picking up incredibly fast and responsive visual feedback on what the game looks like, which in turn allows time for more polishing for us. Additionally, the very fast drives allow the development team to preload a lot of content very quickly, so load screens are reduced drastically, meaning we don't have to wait prolonged periods of time traveling back and forth between planets, and hopefully we pick up a solid fast travel system or option in this new title as well. Furthermore, Hogwarts Legacy actually recently released a haptic controller feedback trailer for their PS5 controllers, which will allow you to feel and hear the spells that you cast. Jedi Survivor will be exploring something similar, as Stig went on to mention that the PS5 controller has some really interesting haptics that we're digging into at the moment. It's just an easier and exciting process in general. So expect something similar here, but instead of wands and spells, lightsabers and blasters. Now, New Game Plus has really made an impact on video games in the last several years, allowing players to go back and play their favourite missions or start the game again with all of their abilities, weapons and armour carried over. Fallen Order did eventually implement this mechanic called New Journey Plus, but because of the way that the game was designed, where you can only access certain parts of the map after unlocking certain Force abilities, the whole skill tree was reset to 0 and everything had to be relearnt by Cal again. This didn't go down too well with the community, and even though it hasn't been officially confirmed yet, Stig said that they are looking at ways to make a replay have value to it, so perhaps they'll implement something different in this sequel here after the backlash they received on Fallen Order. Star Wars have also said that we'll be picking up new information about the game throughout the summer, so if you do want to stay up to date on Jedi Survivor, make sure you do subscribe so you can find your way back here easily. I will be covering the game in its entirety, and big thanks to the Reloads team, specifically Nika, Voynich and Sid, for helping me make this video. Absolute legends. And my additional thanks to the Reloaders who support the channel and all of you who comment and like down below. I love chatting to you all. It's really great fun for me. You guys are the absolute best, and I will catch you in the next video soon. Coffee is of course on me.